Thank you very much. Admiral Harry Harris, Commander of U.S. Pacific Command, Ambassador Joseph Donovan, and many other friends from the Indonesian side here. My close friends, Pak Marsetio, Dr. Marsetio, mantan Kasar, former Indonesian Navy chief, and also I see Major General Yudi Pastanto, Director General of the Strategic Defense of Minister of Defense, and Pak from the Pelopor, Korps Brimob Polri, Pak Brigadier General Polisi Abdul Rahman Baso, and others here, coming here. My colleague, Mr. Brian Arnold, President of Indonesian AmCham, and Mr. Dim Juman, Managing Director of AmCham, who is going to moderate our discussion today. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Indonesian AmCham and US-Indonesia Society, I welcome you today to the special open forum of the US-Indonesia Bilateral Security Relationship. We welcome the important visit to Indonesia of the US Pacific Commander, Admiral Harry Harris. Today's event gives a wider public audience of chance to hear Admiral Harris' views on US-Indonesia security issues. This is essential as public understanding of the issues forms a vital foundation for a deep and comprehensive US-Indonesia cooperation, particularly in defense sector. We need to enhance and widen the ongoing programs such as IMAT, military professionalization, disaster relief, and transnational challenges. Our two countries need more than ever a close security relationship with a clear understanding of each other's views and positions. Countries in Asia, such as Indonesia, need a clear understanding of the position of the new US administration on Asian security issues in Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, such understanding and cooperation affect not only each country's interests, but also the maintenance of peace and stability in the region, which faces new challenges, such as the South China Sea issues, the DPRK nuclear tests, and global terrorism. In this regard, we should encourage our respective government to play a more assertive role in the ASEAN Regional Forum, where these regional security issues been being addressed. Thank you, Admiral Harris, for coming to Indonesia and for doing this event. Admiral Harris will share his insights about US PACOM's role and objective in facing these issues, the state of US-Indonesia bilateral security relationship, and the opportunities for enhancing them. Admiral Harris is commander of US Pacific Command. He is one of the most influential figures in the US defense community. As US PACOM commander, he leads the Unified Combatant Commands of the US Armed Forces responsible for the Indo-Asia Pacific region. He reports to the US President through the Secretary of Defense. He has had a wide range of important naval assignments. He has served in every geographic combatant command region and participated in many major military operations, including the SS Achille Lauro terrorist hijacking, Desert Storm, Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom, and many others. He has received many distinguished awards for his service in defense and the Navy. His graduate education concentration on East Asia security. He attended Harvard Kennedy School of Government, Georgetown School of Foreign Affairs, and Oxford University. Admiral Harris, we warmly invite you to present your remarks, please.
So, Salamat Siang. Good day, and thank you for that warm introduction, Theo, and for giving my speech. And a special thanks to Ambassador Donovan and the Indonesia U.S. Indonesia Society, and Brian Arnold, President of the American Chamber of Commerce, for sponsoring this event and for the work you do to further U.S. and Indonesian relations. And also make a little money, which is really what the Chamber is all about. So thank you for that. And that is capitalism as it should be, I believe. And I want to acknowledge my good friend, Admiral Marcedio. Thank you, sir, for being here. Thank you for all the work that you've done and that we got to do together. Thank you for that. And fellow flag and general officers, this is my first trip to Indonesia as the PACOM commander. And I'm honored to be here today to underscore the strategic partnership between Indonesia and the United States. I also had the opportunity to visit Istiqlal Mosque this morning and honor the Commonwealth War Dead at Menteng Pulau. So I was honored to do both. It meant a lot to me to be able to participate in both. So in preparing my remarks today, I was reminded that a good speech should be like a comet. Dazzling, eye-opening, and over in a flash. I don't know how well I can do on the first two, but I will try to achieve the third, and I'll be brief. But perhaps it's best that I set the stage to provide a little context about the U.S. Pacific Command, or PACOM. So PACOM is America's largest and oldest military combatant command. We're headquartered in Honolulu, Hawaii, and we're made up of about 375,000 soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and civilians. These men and women stand watch over half the earth. And I always say that the PACOM area covers Hollywood to Bollywood and penguins to polar bears. Although many refer to the area as the Asia Pacific, I prefer to call it the Indo-Asia Pacific. This term, in my view, more accurately captures for me the fact that the Indian and Pacific Oceans are the economic lifeblood that links India, Australia, Southeast Asia, Northeast Asia, Oceania, and the United States. And, of course, unlike the United States, Indonesia straddles both oceans. Maintaining and strengthening U.S. security, diplomatic, and economic connective tissue throughout the Indo-Asia Pacific is nothing new for PACOM. For 70 years, our joint forces have been protecting America's enduring national interests throughout this critical region. But the U.S. is not the only beneficiary of this effort, far from it. The Indo-Asia Pacific has been one of the world's great success stories. Completely transformed since the end of World War II, the region is now home to the world's 3 largest economies and 7 of the 8 fastest growing markets. Consider Indonesia. As a G20 member, Indonesia has experienced sustained economic growth since the late 1990s and is now the largest economy in Southeast Asia and the 16th largest economy in the world. The Indo-Asia Pacific, though, also has 7 of the world's 10 largest armies, which means the area also shapes the course of global security. But even so, this region has experienced decades of relative peace and stability. This secure environment has facilitated an increase in prosperity unequal in human history. Now, in my opinion, this success story has been made possible in large part by the rules-based security architecture in the region. supported by 7 decades of American military presence and underpinned by America's security alliances and partnerships, strategic partnerships with countries like Indonesia. We know that like-minded nations work together to support the existing regional order, and we truly value our relationship with Indonesia. During his visit last April, Vice President Pence said it best, and I'll quote him, "As the second and third largest democracies in the world, our two countries share many common values, including freedom, the rule of law, human rights, and religious diversity," unquote. The U.S.-Indonesia strategic partnership is critical to the national interests of both nations and will grow more in the years to come. Indonesia is the world's largest Muslim majority nation and one of the most pluralistic societies on earth. And you boast a political system that provides proof that your culture, your history, and your religion have also contributed to a nation with strong democratic norms and values. So, working together makes sense to me. Our opportunities here in the Indo-Asia-Pacific are abundant, but the path is burdened by several considerable challenges, including, as Theo said, North Korea, China, and of course ISIS. Now, why is North Korea, so far away in Northeast Asia, a challenge for the entire Indo-Asia-Pacific region? The answer is simple. Kim Jong-un's missiles point in every direction, and is actively exploring ways to expand their reach. Now, I want you to stop for a minute and really think about this. Combining nuclear warheads with ballistic missile technology in the hands of Kim Jong-un is a recipe for disaster. And because he isn't afraid to fail in public, North Korean capability will continue to improve. Now, Secretary Tillerson and UN Ambassador Haley have vigorously pursued diplomatic and economic pressures aimed at persuading Pyongyang to give up its nuclear arms program. So at PACOM, we're doing our best to back up these preferred diplomatic options with credible combat power. I firmly believe that every nation who considers itself to be a responsible contributor to international security must work diplomatically and economically to bring Kim Jong-un to his senses and not to his knees. Now, President Trump, in a statement recently, highlighted why these partnerships are so important when he addressed the security threat posed to the international community by North Korea following its July 28th ICBM launch. He condemned the test and rejected the regime's claim that these tests ensure North Korea's security. They have, in fact, the opposite effect. So he said, by threatening the world, these weapons and tests further isolate North Korea, weaken its economy, and deprive its people. We will take all necessary steps to ensure the security of the American homeland and to protect our allies in the region, unquote. So I'll continue to provide military options to President Trump and Secretary Mattis while doing everything possible to emphasize our desire for peaceful denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. That includes calling on China to do more to exert its considerable economic influence to stop Pyongyang's unprecedented weapons testing. North Korea has only one ally, and that's China, and vice versa. So China remains by far North Korea's largest trading partner, according to the South Korea-based Korea Trade and Investment Promotion Agency. China was North Korea's top trading partner in 2016 at more than 92%. And total Chinese-North Korean trade grew in 2016 by more than 6%, almost $6 billion US. $6 billion to buy a lot of missile technology. While China supported renewed UN sanctions against North Korea on Sunday, we remain cautious of its sincerity to hold the regime accountable, as China has previously claimed little to no culpability in assisting Pyongyang with efforts to disrupt global peace and security, despite being the major contributor to its economic development. So let me be clear with what I'm saying here. Beijing has exponentially more influence on Pyongyang than anyone else. In my opinion, that makes China the key to a peaceful outcome on the Korean Peninsula. But China is not the key for all outcomes. Let me say that again. In my opinion, China is the key to a peaceful outcome on the Korean Peninsula. But China is not the key to all outcomes. We continue to try to find common ground with China about the North Korean threat, even as we criticize China's aggressive behavior in the region. That said, I remain very concerned about Beijing's increasingly assertive actions that run counter to the international rules-based order. Some might find it odd for me to advocate cooperation with China on the one hand while criticizing it on the other. But as I like to say, great powers can walk and chew gum at the same time. By that, I think that we can praise, and we should praise, China's efforts to include its help in working with the U.S. Navy just this past week to find a missing American sailor lost in the South China Sea. Even as we rightly hold them accountable for not doing enough to influence their North Korean ally. I think we can and should do both. Accordingly, I'll remind you that the Chinese are building up combat power and positional advantage in an attempt to assert de facto sovereignty over disputed maritime features and spaces in the South China Sea, where they are fundamentally altering the physical and political landscape by creating and militarizing man-made bases, and then using tone-deaf propaganda to justify these unprovoked aggressions as measures intended to rescue wayward fishermen. As I've said before, fake islands should not be believed by real people. We can't turn a blind eye to these challenges, but we can't give any nation or insidious non-state actor a pass if they purposely erode the rules-based security order. And in regards to commerce and protecting national assets, Indonesia is rightfully focused, in my opinion, on the economic and environmental impacts of illegal fishing in your exclusive economic zone off of your coasts. As one of the top producers of seafood in the world, you have a vested interest in protecting and maintaining this valuable national and natural resource for generations to come. This issue can be solved by just one or two countries, but requires a regional dialogue and regional solution. This is yet another reason why the United States is committed to working with Indonesia and other regional partners in multilateral forums. This is why ASEAN is so important, and Indonesia's voice and leadership in ASEAN are so important. Another challenge that I want to mention today is ISIS, a clear threat that must be defeated. The main geographic focus of the U.S.-led counter-ISIS coalition has rightfully been in the Middle East and North Africa. But as I've been saying for more than a year now, as our military operations continue to deny ISIS territory, radicalized, weaponized, and displaced terrorists will inspire new fighters in the Indo-Asia-Pacific. And Indonesia is certainly no stranger to terrorism. With the attacks on Bali in 2002, Jakarta last year, and more recently the cold-blooded killing of Ramadan revelers at Kampung Melayu, you have felt firsthand the impact of violent extremism. Elsewhere this past year, the region has witnessed ISIS-inspired terrorism in Malaysia, in Bangladesh, and the Philippines. Sadly, we're seeing some of this come to fruition right now in the southern Philippines, in Mindanao, where in 2016, Isnalan Hapilon, a commander of the Abu Sayyaf group, a Philippine-based terrorist organization, was named the ISIS Emir of Southeast Asia. In just a matter of months, Hapilon started uniting elements of several violent extremist organizations, building a coalition under the black flag of ISIS. These terrorists are using combat tactics that we've seen in the Middle East to murder in the city of Marawi in Mindanao. The first time ISIS-inspired forces have banded together to fight on this kind of scale in this region. It's clear that foreign fighters are passing their ideology, resources, and methods to local, homegrown, next-generation radicals. So Marawi should be a wake-up call and a rallying cry for every nation in the Indo-Asia Pacific. It's critical that Indonesia and the United States continue our efforts to destroy ISIS sooner rather than later. But we can't do it alone. Only through multinational collaboration can we eradicate ISIS and other violent extremist organizations before they spread. This is a partnership with a purpose, if there ever was one. Multinational efforts are underway to meet this challenge. Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines are deepening cooperation to fight regional piracy and related kidnapping for ransom in the Sulu Sea. The Abu Sayyaf group, as previously mentioned, whose leader has sworn allegiance to ISIS, is responsible for much of this activity. Cooperative efforts in this vast and largely ungoverned maritime area connecting these three great nations and their thousands of islands will help deny these terrorists maneuver space, recruits, and revenue streams. This partnership, along with the armed forces of the Philippines' renewed offensive against this group, is another step in the right direction. Cooperation between Singapore and Indonesia is yet another high point. Because of the coordination between these nations, a plot by a terrorist cell with links to ISIS to conduct an attack in Singapore was broken up by Indonesian security forces. Indonesia plays a significant role in stemming ISIS's influence, and for that I'm grateful. PACOM, including Special Operations Command Pacific, or SOCPAC, supports these efforts to improve cooperation against this nemesis to humanity. Now, the coordination and relationship between PACOM and the Tentara Nasional Indonesia, or TNI, the Indonesian military, is key to this effort, I believe. And I'm grateful for the relationship that I enjoy with the Indonesian military. So now let me highlight some of those exercises that demonstrate the growing cooperative effort between PACOM and the TNI. The first is cooperation, afloat readiness and training, or CARET. This is the 23rd annual exercise, CARET Indonesia. The 23rd annual exercise that promotes bilateral security, fosters a growing relationship between the U.S. and Indonesian navies, and is part of a 9-nation exercise series. During this exercise, our sailors were trained to better perform anti-submarine and anti-surface warfare, visit, board, search, and seizure activities, diving and salvage, and perhaps more importantly, develop maritime domain awareness. CARET Indonesia is scheduled for early September, and I'm anxious to see what our military professionals continue to learn and gain through this effort. Another equally important exercise is Garuda Shield, now in its 11th iteration, where soldiers from both our armies performing jungle field training, combined arms, live fires, and a command post exercise. But overall, it offers opportunities for us to continue to develop our security relationship. Through subject matter exchanges, Garuda Shield also provides the opportunity for Indonesia to exercise its aviation interoperability with AH-64 Apache helicopters to execute bilateral maritime interdiction. This is the first littoral gunnery exercise outside of the Korean Peninsula for us. Of note, PACOM honors the Indonesian Army request for the participation of U.S. Army Apaches in the TNI Armed Forces Day Parade this coming October. As a military, we're often known for our firepower, but let me mention a third purposeful U.S.-Indonesia exercise called Gema Bakti. This is our opportunity to dive into humanitarian aid and disaster relief, or HADR. This exercise allows us to bring together joint military personnel from both nations to increase civil military cooperation, emergency preparedness, and rescue capabilities. Gema Bakti promotes partnerships at the joint operational level of planning and staff processes. And one last exercise that I want to highlight that encompasses both their air forces is Cope West. Last November, we brought U.S. Marine Corps F-18 aircraft to train with the Indonesian Air Force and marked the first U.S.-Indonesian fighter-focused training in 19 years. This exercise brought together our fighter capabilities to build air power interoperability. It allowed us to further develop our partnerships and relationships across across our air components and establish common concepts for stability operations. PACOM is committed to sustaining this fighter exercise and looks forward to executing COPE West again in 2018. The sum of these bilateral exercises demonstrates the strength and depth of our strategic partnership. Through our combined exercises, we enhance and maintain our security cooperation efforts. We enhance our ability to respond to humanitarian assistance and disaster relief scenarios together, and not just when crises require it. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we're approaching an inflection point in history. We're certainly not approaching anything resembling the end of history. Freedom, justice, and the rules-based order hang in the balance. And the scale won't tip of its own accord simply because of wishful thinking. So when you take all of this together, the result is great potential, serious risk, and enormous strategic complexity. And this complexity is magnified by a wide, diverse range of challenges that can significantly stress the security environment for both our nations. Some of those challenges are the traditional ones that always emerge between states. States will always compete over resources, disagree over borders, and try to match, mitigate, or surpass each other's military capabilities. In a sense, that's normal. But in the Pacific, state-to-state competition is happening in some deeply concerning ways. So in closing, let me just state again that these are only the mill-to-mill elements of a relationship. And in some, they form just one of the ways our two countries are working together to make the Indo-Asia-Pacific safer and more prosperous. So as Indonesia celebrates its Independence Day, Hari Kemerdekaan, on the 17th of this month, congratulations. 72 years of independence is not insignificant. So congratulations for that. So let me offer a historical quote from your great leader, the first Panglima, General Sudirman. He said, "Stand up for what you believe, even if it means standing alone." Stand up for what you believe, even if it means standing alone. Ladies and gentlemen, and the great issues facing all of us in the 21st century, the United States and Indonesia will stand together. Thank you very much for your attention. I look forward to it.